Hello? I think we have a mic now. This is my headphone mic, I'm pretty sure though. Hold on.
Hello? Alright, I'm off my phone call. We got this. I was gonna say, I only ask because I'm Canadian, and in 5 hours you can't get from one side of Toronto to the other, and I still think that's kind of funny. It's wild. Sorry, it is midnight here. I'm speaking quietly because everyone else in my house is sleeping. Because I don't work till late tomorrow. Damn. I have 2 jobs, and the one stay working. Once I hit the city, it's a 45-minute drive, and it's only like a couple kilometers. Hold on, I'm trying to do the math in my head. A lot of that is city traffic. But if I was to drive one side of my province to the other, it's like a day trip. Like, it's wild. I forget how big Canada is, and everyone else is like, oh yeah, well, just drive to the other side of the country. And I'm like, well, I get. That is like a 2-week vacation for us. It's wild. I'm trying to bring back this series a little bit because we've been working on this since I started my channel on YouTube. In 2021? Maybe 2020? I don't remember, to be honest. Never finished it. So I'm trying to like crack my back right now. I I have 3 jobs. Like 3 jobs where I get paid, and the one I was at today just screws my back up so much. Like, I'm 18 and I have back problems. I'm hoping you can like hear me kind of with this mic and not be like not too bad. I hope it's not too bad at all. I don't remember what I was gonna talk about when I started stream. So this mic is not as good as my other mic. My other mic is at least half quality. But my voice is also raspy as I literally don't have water right now. That's fine. I'm gonna assume you meant to type "you're always working," but it just cut off. Sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. Ugh. Jeez, it's late. I'm trying to think how many appointments I have at work tomorrow, and in retrospect of how late I can stay up without it being horrible. So in Canada, the minimum wage is about $16 an hour. Most people can't get 40 hours a week, but our rent is about $3,000, and an average amount of like cost of food in Canada for one person is around $500. So to live comfortably, especially when you live with multiple people or have kids, you have to work multiple jobs unless you're getting paid way above that. But even like I know nurses who have to work 2 jobs. But right now, it's just Canada's struggling with cost of living. But I've been working 2 jobs since I was 14 to save up for money for college, which is what I'm moving to in about a month. I'm moving to the city, which I'm dreading because it's even more expensive there for food and such. It's not gonna be fun, but I'm gonna enjoy it. Because I don't know if I've talked about it on stream or in a video yet, but I might have a spot on an esports team, which is why I've been posting a lot more Valorant, because I usually only post Minecraft videos, which is also why there's been a lot less. I had like a month where I wasn't working much, and I had plenty of time to record and make stuff, and now I do not have the time at all. I've lost my train of thought again. But almost everyone I know that is working 1 or 2, like at most people I know my age who are working 2 jobs if they can. And it's not like people here can afford houses either. Most houses are going for almost 2 million, and those are houses that are still like need work put into them. It's wild. Canada's sucking ass right now. But at least we have free healthcare. I don't even know how many hours I work in a week. Wow. Wait, what's like the average age people get a job in your country? I've known people, like I started working, technically I didn't start working in quotations until I was 14, but I was being paid under the table to work at a cattle auction barn before then. So I've technically been working since I was younger than that. and I still have to get a loan to go to college. Not a very much, but still one nonetheless. I came up for pickaxes, food, and something else. But kind of where I live has its fence. You're going to school. That's wild. That is a lot older. Well, technically, if we're talking legally, you can't hold a legal part-time job until you're 14 in Canada. That doesn't stop anyone. I know a lot of people who start working at 13, but I also know a lot of people who start like mini side hustles, is what we kind of call them. Like full, like almost full to part-time childcare at like 12, and like full-blown landscaping just a little bit older than that. I'm trying to think before I talk, as last time I streamed, I literally... Was it last time? I think it was last time I streamed, I almost doxed... No, I did dox myself last stream. It was funny. Proud of myself, it only took 4 years. I said only. It took 4 years. But I've also been streaming instead of sleeping in between jobs. But hey, this has been my passion for a long time. Which is why it don't matter. I think tomorrow I work for my one job, which I get paid commission, so. Oh, and I think it's gonna, yeah, thinking about the weather, I think I will have plenty of time to kind of not do anything at work tomorrow. Or not do much, which sucks, but still pays the best out of all of them. I'm mumbling on. I've talked about it before, but I work in arts and legal, and I work on and off at a on farms, so that's fun. I'm gonna definitely work on more content at the start of August though, as that's when I was supposed to be leaving my jobs, but I'll have to figure out something for then. I still think it's funny that most people are already working like 60 to 70 hours a week in Canada on a 5-day work week, and they're planning to bring in a 6-day work week, and I'm like, damn. Patriotism, gotta love it. Yeah, the goal one day is to maybe make just enough money to maybe work part-time just for consistency, and then make the rest off streaming, as it's been one of my passions for a long time. But I think I'm going to revert back to doing mixed content instead of just straight Minecraft, because I miss the horror games. I used to do a lot of horror. I think I've pulled quite a few down just because of my piss poor editing skills, but I'm playing around with the new editing software right now, and I'm liking it a bit better than what I was using before. What was I using before? I think I was using DaVinci Resolve, and I think I'm using Lightworks now. I don't know, it's a shark. It's a little logo, and I quite like sharks. Sharks are cool. I could talk about sharks for a long time. They have a seventh sense, which can sense electricity, which is wild. Female sharks are usually a lot bigger and beefier than male sharks, and their personalities are a lot more aggressive than any of the other ones. It's cool. There's only 3 types of sharks that are actually aggressive to humans. I believe they're like great white, tiger, and another one. Sharks are cool indeed. I love sharks. I am a shark nerd. I own way too many shark hoodies. I don't live anywhere. Bull shark. Yes, the bull shark. I already forget what job I was at today. That's not good. I was listening to a podcast today. That's what I remember. And they were talking about sharks. And my coworker looked at me and just went, "And the hell do you look so happy?" I was like, "Sharks." And then she left me alone. It's all fun. I don't live anywhere close to, like, I'm surrounded by freshwater, not shark habitat, so I've never actually seen a shark in person. But one day I'll go scuba diving and pet a lemon shark or something. Hopefully I won't get my hand bit off. Lemon sharks are my favorite. They're just like little sea dogs. Like there's so many videos of like scuba divers going up to like a little pack of lemon sharks and like petting them on the head. They're awesome. Dive here, yeah, that's fair. I am not scared of a lot of things. However, actually most of the things I'm scared of are human-made and involve people. So I think I would be fine. But I've also literally walked up to a newly born calf, and in front of its almost ton mother, like the weight measurement, and the pit, like a bull that really didn't like when you like pet the cows. And I went up and pet it, and yeah, the bull was not happy with me. But like fun fact about the bull at that farm is he really liked head scratches. So if he started to like get all rowdy, you just like there's like just a sweet spot on the back of his head where he would calm down if you scratched it, if you could get close enough. I'm honestly surprised I've made it this far. Animals aren't as scary as people are though. I'm a lot more scared of people. But cows haven't followed me home. People have. Oh, I love sharks so much. I just love sharks. They're so cute. Oh, I love basking sharks too. They kind of look funny with like the half rib cage in their mouth. But they're awesome. And honestly, a lot of sharks aren't too afraid of shores, so you don't have to like go out into the extreme dark blue ocean, which is fun. But you can just like stay closer to shore and scuba dive with them. You don't have to go like out where the krakens live. And honestly, male sharks aren't super aggressive. So, well, I don't know. There's like little sandy sharks too that I really like. They just kind of patrol coral and they just kind of look like a big catfish, but without the whiskers. And they have scales, not like slippery fish skin. Or not slippery fish skin. But no, they have like scales that are kind of the same keratin. Like they're like a keratin substance, which is the protein in your that makes your fingernails hard, or your toenails hard. I could talk about sharks all day. I feel like I should have started the story about my coworker with the fact that she's a hypochondriac, but fully keeps trying to diagnose me with whatever her version of autism is, which is not a far stretch. But I kind of just laugh at her because I think it's funny that she tries to diagnose me with stuff. Like, I do martial arts when I find my free time. And I walked in one day with a massive bruise on my arm, and she's like, I think you have an iron deficiency. And I'm like, no, I think I got a step in flying tornado kick to my entire arm because that bruise goes up my shoulder and into my back. That's a leg. And she's like, no, I just think you have an iron deficiency. I'm like, you are wild. But she's also the person to tell someone with I actually feel like I've talked about this on the channel before. I work at a tattoo shop. I work for commission. But she has no problem telling people with a piercing bump that they have a keloid or cancer or some shit. And I'm like, I think she needs to get a doctorate or figure her shit out. But she's wild. Which is sad because I also work in the legal field, but I still make more at the tattoo shop. I have the resume of someone who was literally tried everything. God, I can't even think of all the fields I've worked in. I've worked in... Actually, yes, I can. I've worked in restaurant, and then I switched to fast food, which I hated, and then I worked as a cashier. And then I worked in a... This is not in order, by the way. I worked in cattle auction. Then I worked on 2 or 3 different kinds of farms. And then I worked in tattoo. And then legal. And I volunteered at retirement homes. Worked in organizational and management. Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons in his own category. Anyone who's ever worked at Tim Hortons knows what I mean by that. It's the only job besides like parole officer where almost every single person has been assaulted in one way or another. I have so many stories from Tim Hortons. don't know if I can tell them. What is Tim Hortons? Tim Hortons is a fast food coffee chain with the shittiest coffee known to man, but they're Canadian. So every single person drinks it, even though it sucks. They're not very nice to their employees. I worked there for 2 to 3 years. Yeah. One of my supervisors wasn't even legally old enough to work anything with a temperature over 50 degrees Celsius, and they did because they completely ignore working laws. It's wild. But I'm thinking about it. Yeah, almost... Like, the coffee is not even good. It's like mediocre at best. Half the time it tastes burnt or burning. Like, it's a phenomenon. I served a SWAT team once. Twice. Not once, twice. I've served a SWAT team. Those were the days. Jeez. I feel like I had more for my list. I did have more. But I forgot what I'm at, so I'm gonna give up now. Actually, I think I do have clients tomorrow. I hope I do. Usually when I tell people that I'm a tattoo artist, they get very off-put because of my age. But I've been a tattoo artist for 2 years. People are off-put by that for some reason. I'm not covered in tattoos, but that's like a very average age to get into the industry over here. But it pays better than pretty much, it pays better than actually having a doctorate, if you can get the clients. It's wild. So I believe people are up now. It is 12:15. Hello? 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 Okay. Hello. Yep. Sorry, I'm back now. Someone just came downstairs. I'm in the middle of the living room. I am moving pretty much on by myself, but I'm moving onto campus because I can't afford $3,000 in rent. Unfortunately. Plus food. So oh, sorry. I can turn it back down. I'm fidgeting with my settings. I'm very good at it. It could be the delay. I have a delay on my mic. I'm sorry. I hope your ears don't hurt too much. It's midnight. Why is my dad looking for dog toys? I don't know. I live in a very strange household. I think we're about 3/4 the way done of the pit. So we're doing pretty good. I have a spare keyboard out right now because I have my good keyboard put away. Even though my good keyboard is super loud. I think I just raised my voice a little bit, or it's when I turned up my dB on my software because I have it turned down because this mic is really loud when I talk at normal volume. Like I'm whispering right about now. This headset is not very good when it comes to microphones. Yeah. No, I just like here. I'll kind of try and whisper. But I think it's when I had my DB up like this and I was talking at my normal volume because I thought it was my software. But yeah, I kind of have to watch my volume a little bit. Oh, it's good. That's good. Yeah, I think we're about 3/4 down the way of the pit. Yeah, I would say that's at least 30, but that's a lot more. I don't have I have a 3/4 keyboard right now, which is just a spare one that's half broken because I packed up all my good stuff for my PC, which I have to move separately anyways, but this doesn't have an F or any of the F functions, so I can't see what layer we're at, which also kind of sucks for Valorant because I can't surrender. Well, I'm gonna do one more layer before we get off. I've decided that now. So I've been playing a lot more Valorant recently, but I think it's funny because people get really pissed off because a lot of them assume you're from the United States and they're like, do you speak English? Spanish. And I'll start really loudly speaking French, which Canadian French, not actual French, is very on the lines of American Spanish. But it's very close. Like the words sound similar, but it sounds like you're just speaking gibberish to them and mocking them, but you're speaking Canadian French, and it's really funny because it really pisses people from the United States off, especially when I'm playing with other Canadians, because I don't like, I usually get mixed lobbies of Canadian, well, I guess all the servers are from, you're all in the United States, but it really just doesn't end for them. It's like the end of the world. I ranked for this season, and I can't get out of Iron 1. It's so bad. It's kind of funny though. Why aren't you working? There we go. Which is even funnier because I'm not like horrible at the game. People just assume that I'm going to be absolute garbage. I've just not been able to get out of Iron 1 because my team keeps losing rounds. I don't know, I think it's so funny. Why aren't these merging? There we go. Do I need another pickaxe? When these two are gone, we'll stop. I tell myself that all the time, and I never stop. I'm not very good at moderation. That's problem 6-1. That's German. I'm gonna be honest. I am not. I don't quite know what that means. Is that German or Dutch? I have a feeling it's. I'm not good at European languages. Oh, that's German. Okay. That was my initial feeling, but my grandparents speak Dutch, and well, they speak Flemish, which is kind of a closer dialect. But one of them, who immigrated here, speaks German. Austria, okay. Because I have a few grandparents who speak Dutch, and the one that speaks German, and I'm like, they don't get along. My favorite part is I'll queue with someone else from Canada, and because it's not mandatory to know English in Canada, which is wild. They don't really teach English in Quebec. They'll go and ask like tous les parlez-vous français, and you just go, oh, I'm struggling. You go, je n'ai pas parlez-vous français. It kind of pisses messes them up, but you always have to go like, je parlez-vous anglais only, and they just get right at that. That's always so funny. I am only bilingual when my brain is working, and that is not today. Well, I guess I know a little bit of Flemish, and a little bit of, like, I know, God, I used to be N3, like, N3 level of Japanese. I've lost it all since COVID. Because I was supposed to go and study in Japan, and then COVID. But kind of just with the people who live in Canada, we have a lot of people who immigrate here. I've learned a lot of random parts of random languages too, I guess. Oh, I'm trying to think how I introduce myself. No, you go like, I could probably do a whole little mini series teaching people Quebecois French, because it's so silly. It's so silly funny. Because if you speak Quebecois French to France French people, they can't understand what you're saying. It's so different. It's wild. I keep saying it's wild. I have no other response. I am learning. I would too. I used to know a lot more because I was going to go to school there, and I've lost it. I'm really mad that I've lost it. I can read it fine. I can read novels in hiragana and kanji, but I can't speak much of it anymore. And when I do, I get such a bad accent. Oh, I thought about making a little series with like little segments of different languages and stuff, but in the past while I've lost a lot of my language. I've also lost the ability to speak English well sometimes. But that could just be the overworking from the shit economy in Canada. Well, it's not too bad, to be honest. But, well, it's livable. I'm hoping that I'll have enough room for a little bit of a garden, because then I can kind of cut down a bit on the hours I work, and then maybe I'll sleep a bit better, or a bit more, and I don't know, maybe I'll relearn French and Japanese a bit more. It is 1 in the morning. I do have to work up tomorrow, so I'm gonna go to bed now. I don't know, I miss streaming, and I was up. Maybe she moved to Austria for 7 years. Damn, that's pretty good. I think it's about $3 grand for a. I'm thinking like a 2-room, because I do have a partner. And that would kind of, we have like opposing shifts, so they would be sleeping while I would be up, so I wouldn't want to wake them. But they also work about 2 hours from where I work, so I guess we'd just be driving all the time anyways. I think it's about, oh god, I was looking at a place this morning. you're looking at renting a housing, like an actual building, for about $3,500 a month, you can get a half acre. And then if you were to buy it, it would be about, depending how good the buildings are, I think the one I was looking at didn't have proper running water, it had well water, would be $500,000. But honestly, for housing in Canada right now, that's not bad at all. I'm thinking our economy is going to crash. We're going into a recession over here, which is fine because I know how to grow my own food. But hey, at least we won't be working 6 days a week when there's no jobs. Yes, that's an upside. Oh, there was another one I saw for sale. I've honestly thought about moving to another country, but there's too much here already. I've kind of already sunk my roots in a little bit too much to kind of move it all somewhere else. And also, I'm not good in big crowds or people or on public transit. Trains and like trolleys specifically, I've always been horrible on. Besides rent, utilities isn't too much though. But to be fair, if I was to work, instead of going to college, if I was just to like drop out now and work full time as a tattoo artist, I think I'd be making $65 an hour, which is 5 times our minimum wage. And if I was to continue to work in legal, I'd be making enough to survive, like, and live comfortably, just with like a 9 to 5. But I would be driving 2 hours a day into the city, which isn't worth it for me. I like my chaotic schedule and all my bullshit with it. Like, I think I'll miss some lapis. Like, the one place I work on and off, if there's no traffic, since it's, 5 in the morning when I go, it's a 3-minute commute. Then my other job is 20 minutes if there's no tractors, because I do live in a rural area. 30 to 45 minutes if we do hit traffic and there is tractors. My other job can be anywhere from an hour drive to 2 hours with traffic. And it's not that far into the city. Traffic here is horrible. We also don't have any public transit that actually runs on time or works. Well, my short rant about living in Canada is almost over. To be fair, if I was gonna move to any European country, I feel like I'd pick like more north. I really like cold temperatures. Like, throw me in a negative 20, I'll actually enjoy it very well. Canada's not that cold. We've been averaging 30 to 40 degrees Celsius lately. It used to be hotter when I was younger. But I love the cold. I love the cold too much. I love the snow. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna get off because I think I do have morning appointments tomorrow, and hopefully they show up. Thank you for hopping on and talking me to your commute at work. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope your day goes really well. Good morning to you. I guess good night as well. You just have a good day. I have been reading your comments on YouTube. I bad at responding to comments because I never know what to say. I do appreciate them though. I've been trying to figure out all my settings and stuff for Valorant. But thank you. Anyways, you have a good day. Bye. Bye-bye.